Hello, welcome back to the MicroCast, a short-form podcast where we put one of our vendor partners in the hot seat and ask them questions about their offerings and services. I'm Ed Rosner, Senior Sales Engineer for Excel Micro, and your host. Today we're putting Proofpoint in the hot seat, and our subject is going to be their new integrated cloud email security. For anyone who doesn't know, ICEs, that's ICES, are email security platforms that don't use MX records or traditional mail routing rules and to protect mail flow. They instead rely on an API connection to your environment to directly monitor and protect things and mail flow internally. My guest today is someone I've worked with on the Proofpoint side for many years. Sorry about that. Randy Scadden.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ed. Yeah, as I say, my name's Randy Scadden. I am the Global Manager of Systems Engineering for the Proofpoint Essentials platform. Man, like you said, it's been coming up on 8 years. 8 years this year is how long I've actually been at Proofpoint. So happy to be here, and yeah, let's get down to it.
Yeah, I'll dive right in. So my first question. SEGs are traditionally a security solution most people use and are familiar with, and the way they are designed defenses is in line, so emails have to hit the SEG first. With integrated solutions like your pending one, when are the emails filtered? Is it the second they're delivered to a user and they're removed if they're bad, or is there some rule or some action in the API that's able to intercept them like that before things get to the mailboxes?
Sure. So with our iteration that we're coming out with, we're referring to it as like an integrated deployment. And how that will actually work is the mail will still, from an MX record perspective, go into the Office 365 environment. And then we actually, as the part of the integration, will actually do the analysis both pre and post delivery. And therefore, you get the best of all worlds. You get the best world of, having the, environment being Office 365. And you, from our vantage, you get all the same exact protections that you do with any of the other packages, with a few slight differences. The main biggest difference is because we are not, bringing mail in through the traditional SEG route. The only feature functionality that you're actually losing when it comes to our solution is the emergency inbox. So, from a mail delivery perspective, the user experience is 100% the same. It's all 100% obfuscated, and we still go through and do all of the the deep analysis in terms of the advanced threats that our platform is known for. That's our URL defense. That's our attachment defense sandboxing. That's all of our business email compromise AI ML engines. All of the mail is still processed through that, and we go through and make that decision before it's actually delivered to the customer's mailbox, just with how our integrated solution is actually deployed.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that on some other API-driven solutions like Inky and things like that, where the biggest thing you lose is that emergency mailbox. But if you're on Office 365, that's not as big a concern to happen, but I have seen it happen because Office 365 is not perfect.
No, and that's if you take into consideration, let's all, if Office 365 is down, there's some major issues going on out in the world.
Your partners aren't sending you emails either because they can't, because it is the majority of the global business market is on Office 365 at this point, and more people transitioning to it every day.
For sure.
Is mail flow delay a concern with this new solution? I'm assuming no.
No, actually it's not. There's still going to be the processing overhead if there's attachments, things of that nature. But for the most part, it's going to be, pretty much the exact same experience that they had today. Unless we're going through and again doing any of those more advanced, attachment defense sandboxing type of activities, the mail flow should be fairly transparent and, not horribly delay prone.
In the vein about the things that you said, you're losing, like emergency mailbox is a feature set you're using, how is the ICS product going to work when it comes to the smart host and triggering encryption? Is it just going to use rules built on the Office 365 side to then route mails that trigger encryption to your smart host to trigger that encryption, or is it going to work differently?
Correct. No, as I say, the notion still being is you would still take and send all outbound messages through Proofpoint. So again, nothing changes from an outbound mail perspective. And so any DLP filters functionality that you have set up that way will still take and be routed through us, and that would give us the ability to, if somebody takes and inadvertently sends out a credit card number, if you have a DLP filter set up to watch for that, it'll take and stop different things like that. So there's no impact in terms of outbound mail flow, because that's how it's intended. Is we're still intending to do all of your outbound mail flow filtering as well.
Perfect. I see a lot of other vendors and ICEs out there that are either standalone or they're like standalone designed for the customer to choose either that or their seg.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't have both products. Is this going to be the same with Proofpoint where it's one or the other, or are they going to be comparable where if someone wants the seg and then also wants the internal protection of the ICE, can they do that?
So with how we're going to market at present, it's still one or the other. It's either seg or, again, the integrated deployment option. The notion being is the main driver behind why we're going through and going with the integrated deployment is we've just listened to what our partners have said, and that is just speed to deployment. And that's what the integrated deployment does now bring to bear, is instead of having to wait for, whatever 24-hour, TTL propagation time your customer might have on their MX, they can now turn around and do the integrated deployment methodology and get the service actually up and running in a matter of minutes, as opposed to, again, waiting for all DNS propagation and things like that to take place. So
yeah.
Our motion is really to go forth and, say we're giving you the option. Do you want to go the integrated deployment method, or do you still want to go the traditional seg method? So,
really leverage that easy button you guys have for the Azure Sync and the complete configuration. Really, that makes sense.
100%. Yeah.
And a lot of people over the years have asked me a lot about when going through any kind of seg product. They go, "Oh, well, does it protect internal relaying mail?" Like, well, no, it's a seg. But now the answer for this is yes. That's what it's specifically doing.
Correct.
What environments does it work with? Or is it just Office 365 at the time being?
So for right now, it is 100% just Office 365. When you look at the distribution of our install base, again, the vast majority of our install base and the general market is Microsoft 365, and so that's basically where we're taking and pointing our effort.
So what sets your solution as an ICES apart from the other ones? What makes it unique or makes it better?
Sure. From that vantage, it just goes back to the standard, Proofpoint being who we are. We see 1 in 3 emails that go across the planet on a daily basis, and so we have the best threat intelligence of any organization out there. All one needs to do to verify and validate that is go look up any most Fortune 100 companies take and use this. We're like 85% of the Fortune 100. So if you go out and you do an MX record lookup, the same technology that is taking and protecting those organizations is actually still the same technology that's within the Proofpoint Essentials platform. So you just get that depth and breadth of a threat intelligence that we actually have, and that we're recognized in the industry for.
Yeah, I've used that tidbit about the third most mail traffic in the world in my own presentations and demos too, because I know the two that are ahead of you are Google and Microsoft, who are not security companies. They are not invested in your security. They are invested in your hosting and your application tooling. So when the offering comes out, is it going to be standalone? Is it going to be like you choose it in a package, or is it going to be built into something? And what is that time frame for that release?
Yeah, so time frame for release, let's hit on that. We're doing this, MicroCast here on the 7th of March. We are actually going to be releasing the integrated deployment on March 18th. The great thing is it's not a standalone. It's basically when you set up a new customer, you're going to be presented with the opportunity to select how you want to take and deploy that customer. You'll be able to say, all right, I want to take and do the integrated deployment, or I want to do the seg deployment, and it doesn't matter what package they're on. So we're giving you the opportunity to select your deployment method of choice. And so there's going to be no gates, no barriers as far as package restrictions. This will just be a choice that you actually have from a deployment methodology.
Oh, that's huge. It's going to be added into the current packages at any level versus being something that you have to pay for extra or deploy differently. So what does deployment look like? Which I don't even think I really need to ask that, because it looks like the easy button. You click the thing, you put in your Office 365 credentials, and it's off to the races. It does it all for you.
Correct.
So the question then is, though, is there a migration? If someone wants to move off of the seg and onto the new world, is there a path for that?
Yeah, no, in full disclosure, my perspective is if you've already gone through and done the heavy lifting of doing the MX change and the MX redirect, and it's working, there's really no impetus for you to go ahead and flip them over to the inline, because they don't gain or lose really anything. Again, you have to look at it at present as a deployment methodology.
Yeah.
So,
well, except for the internal mail protection, essentially.
Well, internal mail will come regardless of whether we're doing like the seg solution or this. And let's just kind of quickly, put a little asterisk on that. At present, this new solution does not account for internal mail at present. It is something long-term wise that they're looking to take and implement in, because we will now have that level of visibility.
Well, thanks for joining me today. I don't want to keep them short and sweet. I don't want to go too long, and I know me and you can talk for a long time. I eagerly wait for the chance to see it all in action and get my hands on it, which 18th, 11 or so days away, less than 2 weeks, because I like having fun with a new tech toy and find out what makes it tick. If it's anything like the previous Proofpoint releases and updates, it's going to be very solid. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for letting me beat you up about odd questions.
Yeah, anytime.
I found out things that I didn't know, because of course I knew a little bit about it coming, but not everything. So that's how I form my questions. But
perfect. Well, thanks, Ed. I appreciate your time, and yeah,
I appreciate you coming on and letting me beat you up and working with me for the past 9 years.
Hey, you're very welcome.
As for everybody out there, like I said, this has been the MicroCast. Let us know if you enjoyed this. I'd like to keep doing them. I'd like to keep dragging on vendors and asking them some of the questions that I hope are helpful for you guys out there in the world when you want to know things. Until next time, safe hunting.